Well, it's UK Budget Day today, and I've got our Treasury Minister, Alf Cannan, with us. You must have watched that. Interesting. I thought it was taking a few tips off you, actually. The delivery was very good, wasn't it?
Well, I thought he was very composed.
Yeah.
It was a constructive and confident budget that he delivered. Interestingly enough, I mean, he picked up on quite a few themes that we've picked up on over the last few years as well.
Okay, well, obviously you went in on the whole thing with the viruses and all the problems are going to be there. Just want to park that for only 1 second. He did say a thing about more, attention to the aggressive use of offshores. He didn't use those words, but it was definitely bells ringing. I'm sure that you heard that bit. Any comment on that, or is it more the same, do you think?
Well, I think every chancellor over the last few budgets has talked about tax evasion, clamping down on it. Again, he was very strong on his words when he mentioned it, but there's very little detail attached to that.
So, are you worried? I mean,
no, I'm not worried at all. I think the Isle of Man's in a very strong position in terms of the progress that we've made over the last few years in meeting international standards. I'm not worried. I think there's always one or two bits and pieces that tend to come from these budgets. We'll look at that and then we will deal with that accordingly.
We started with, should we call it COVID, or do we, coronavirus, whatever you want to say? I mean, he went in there big time. I mean, massive amount of money that he's going to free up. Are you on the same wavelength? I mean, you've issued this big statement. In fact, tell us what you're planning for us here.
Well, that's right. So I wrote to Tim Ward yesterday, reassuring them really on three key cornerstones in terms of the approach that Treasury will need to take in tackling the threat
£7 million
of COVID-19. Well, no, first of all, I mean, I outlined our first and foremost priority, if and when this strikes the Isle of Man, will be the health and security of our people. We will not stand back from supporting our frontline services. They obviously have their budgets. We've got £7 million in contingency. That money is there immediately for anybody, for the NHS or our frontline services. And I will act immediately and decisively if we have to go and get more money from Tim Ward.
You've got it?
On that front, I'm sure that Tim Ward will be right behind and will be completely unified in this matter. Mm-hmm. The other two strands are firstly with individuals and families on this island. We will be bringing forward measures to ensure that those, particularly in low incomes or zero pay, or those struggling to support themselves during this short-term period, whether we have the right benefits and welfare structure in place, and we'll need to make some amendments to that to make sure, for example, sick pay, incapacity benefit rather, and other measures are appropriately amended to ensure that people can claim them quickly and easily. And then the third strand, of course, is making sure that our economy stays strong during this period. So we need to, and we are looking at a number of measures that we can bring forward for business.
Are you going to mirror the UK, though? I mean, they came out with some very positive things about what they were going to do. I mean, there was no... I've never seen anything quite like a budget like that. I mean, obviously quite unique, well, the way they're doing it. What are you going to do? Well,
first and foremost, this is a significant and serious threat to the economy. There's a lot of information coming through at very rapid speed and actions that are happening at rapid speed. We have to be in a position to gather that information, understand it and turn it around very quickly as well. So we are putting together our package of measures at the moment. I expect to announce some of those on Tuesday at Tim Ward on a supplementary order paper.
Okay.
I expect there may be some more announcements happening either at that point or within the next few days in terms of our response. We think absolutely critical that we support businesses at a very early stage to tackle this. And of course then, we need to be prepared to evaluate that support on an ongoing basis as this situation develops.
And what about our supply lines? I mean, obviously the airlines have been all over the place and they're running out of loo roll in some of the stores in town. I mean, are our supply links guaranteed, or can you throw money at that as well, or what?
Well, let's be absolutely clear. From an operational perspective, from a whole island perspective, if you like, the Chief Minister and the Health Minister will be leading the fight or leading the island in terms of tackling the situation as it develops. My role, the Minister for Enterprise, we will be playing the key role in terms of our economic response, our financial response, bringing forward the fiscal measures that we need to tackle this. I hope, along with everybody else, that this is going to be a short-term issue. Certainly.
Oh, you've got contingencies though for
well,
1 in 5 of the population, working population, to be off. If that's what they're saying, the hospitals obviously be under massive pressure. I mean, you're involved in all that.
What I will say is, again, I don't want to become a de facto voice for the Chief Minister and the Health Minister.
Yeah.
They will be explaining all these matters very clearly, very concisely. What I would say is I'm absolutely confident that the command and control structure is in place to deal with this, and that there are significant plans ready to go if and when needed
Do you have a
in the
Cobra over here,
circumstances.
or do you just have your council of ministers meetings? I mean, do you have emergency sessions on this subject, or you just meet and talk about it?
Well, absolutely. The Chief Minister has brought forward more regular meetings of a group called the National Strategy Group.
Nice.
And as I said, he has now put in place a proper command and control structure.
Okay.
And I'm sure he would be more than happy to come along and explain that to everybody.
TT, what's the latest that you can put on this? I mean, we'll go, or is it now more maybe we're going to go, maybe there's going to be a pause? What?
Well, I'm not in charge of making that decision. There are other people involved with making that decision. For me and for Department for Enterprise, if things change and develop as this whole situation progresses, then we want to be in a position to act quickly and decisively. I want to be absolutely crystal clear with you, Paul.
Yeah.
We're taking this extremely seriously. There's a significant number of meetings going on, both to plan now for the short term and to consider what actions we might take in the longer term.
Okay.
So as things are brought forward, then we will react and act accordingly.
So let's go back to the budget. I mean, they've made all these announcements, but away from that, I think corporation tax not going down must be one of the highlights for you, I suppose, wasn't it? It's staying at 19% in the UK. That's got to be good news for the Isle of Man, has it? Because you don't have corporation tax to be here. So.
Well, I mean, I think one always remains conscious of the position that the UK is taking. I suspect that the Chancellor was somewhat restricted a little bit by recent developments in terms of the global health crisis that's developing and the impact that that's having. One suspects he might have wanted to go on a bit further than he did in the budget. But I think that overall, from a response perspective, we're going to be focusing on the measures needed for coronavirus, for COVID-19, and making sure that the island's well placed to tackle any economic and fiscal issues that arise from this problem that we're facing.
Of course, the easy meat, which is alcohol going up, hasn't happened. Petrol hasn't gone up. These are things that you must normally, as a Treasury Minister, I'm not saying you personally, but you must go, more money coming in the coffers. That's not happening. Is that going to affect your sort of maths on this thing? Because you presume it was going to go up. They just put freeze on it, didn't they, on all things?
Well, it's frozen. It appears to have frozen fuel duty, frozen the beer and spirits,
and everything like that,
and we were expecting red diesel to have been impacted as well. But I think that he's done a lot of these static measures, if you like, these freezing measures as part of an overall package that he's trying to help keep money in people's pockets. That's very much the message that we've been building out for the last 4 budgets when we've been delivering it. And I think, obviously with the national insurance, the lower earnings increase, or the earnings threshold increase, that will put another £85-90 back into people's pockets on average. So I think that actually these measures have been designed rather than raising money to help more broadly with the cost of living issues.
I'm just trying to get to the point that your calculations are still okay, because you have to do this, and then they have their budget. We had this discussion about when they were going to do it, but you put your things together, and then they follow. I mean, books are going to lose 5%. I mean, that's not here and there, I'm sure, for you, but all these things add up, I suppose. VAT receipts.
In terms of the analysis, we're only a couple of hours after the budget, Paul. Still there's a lot of detailed analysis and reporting to be done in terms of the feedback that will come through to me. But I'm absolutely confident in any case that our budgets and our fiscal plan is robust enough to deal with any issues. I welcome actually the measures that he's brought forward. I think they'll be helpful for people, both on this island and in the adjacent island. I think generally those measures will help individuals have another good year, if you like, in terms of coping with some of the costs that everybody's facing versus their wage increases. So generally speaking, for me, I welcome them.